What's going on, everyone? The You Know I Got Soul in Stereo podcast is back. Happy New Year, everyone. It's 2017. R&B barely made it, but we're all here in 2017. Kyle is here. I've got Ed and Tom with me. What's going on, everybody?
What's good, players?
Happy New Year. They tried to kill off R&B, but it's still dragging along.
We're dragging it by its hand. We're going to resuscitate it, I'm telling you.
For sure. But first off, I want to start off this podcast by saying rest in peace to George Michael, who passed away during the holidays.
Another big loss for music.
Another one. Like, we just collect them weekly. And it's like Grim Reaper trading cars up out here. Like, it's ridiculous.
Ed, what's your favorite George Michael song?
I mean, it's cliche, but Careless Whisper. And a lot of times because Tamia covered it, and I like that.
Yep, that's a great cover.
Yep. The man lost another legend. Hopefully 2017 is a little better. But guys, we almost lost another legend on December 31st near midnight. The Mariah Carey fiasco. That, you know, as a Mariah fan, that was hard to watch.
Like I thought about you. We had a New Year's Eve party, so we were watching this, and I'm like, what is happening? And is Kyle okay?
See, the thing about that wasn't even... Okay, let's face it. Mariah, she's been known to lip sync, and I'm okay with that. I'm sure she wasn't the only one on that program that was lip syncing, but to see her just literally give up in the middle of that performance, and her being a veteran in the game, and you know she should be seasoned for it, but she just literally gave up. And you know, I know there were technical issues, and you know there's a whole lawsuit going on behind that, but man, it was hard to be a Mariah fan then.
Listen, player, and I'm just going to excuse Tom. You're just going to have to. I'm apologizing in advance, player, because I am on one. So everybody's getting his work tonight. And Mariah is number one. You getting it, Mariah, because I know that there were technical problems. We have seen many artists and performances, and both of you can back me up on this. When you see an artist up there and he or she can't hear or whatever, and they'll pop their earpiece out and they'll keep rolling. Because the show must go on. You don't just stop and start fiddling with your nipples and start playing with your hair, and then you have dancers literally dragging you across the stage because you won't move. That is the height of unprofessionalism. I don't care if the stuff didn't work. You get it together and you be a professional and you make it work. So these Mariah stands out here, oh, well, she couldn't help it. And I don't understand why you expect her to go through something that was subpar. Your career right now is subpar if all you're doing is reality shows and not backing up that stuff. I have to think that this fiasco feeds into her reality show, which of course is on right now. But if that is what it's come to, that you have to take a top shelf A-list artist and slide back just so you can get some people to look at your trash reality show, man, miss me, Mariah, miss me. All right, I'm done.
It's interesting because Kyle said to me, "Oh, her career is over," and I said just the opposite. All the publicity is in the end of the day is good publicity, because look at what happened with Chris Brown, all the bad things he's done, and he's like the top R&B singer now. Look at Bieber, he's like the most loved artist, and he's a piece of trash. So it's like every publicity is good publicity.
We're going to get on Cousin Chris later on, since I got a lot of words for him and Soulja Boy, but you are correct. I hate that we are using these things that are essentially mess-ups and screw-ups and things to be embarrassed by. It's fodder for Twitter, because it's exactly what it is. Mariah knows good and well she's had bad performances before that she sang through, that as an audience member, we aren't even going to know that anything went wrong if you're a professional and you push through it. But if you just stop and it's like, oh, I can't hear myself, oh, I don't know what I'm doing, oh, Happy New Year, I'm just having fun. Come on now. You're a professional. I could do better than that.
You know, personally, if I were Mariah, I would have just walked off the stage, but hey.
Well, she did at the end after she made a giant fiasco of it, which was unnecessary.
Yeah.
But see, the thing is, why is anyone surprised that she's lip syncing? Hasn't it been known for years that she can't sing anymore live?
Well, no, lip syncing really wasn't even an issue for me. Like, people are surprised by that. Almost every artist lip syncs. Like, that's not at all surprising. You can tell when an artist doesn't. As much shade as we give Usher, his the obligatory Usher reference, you can check him out on like the BET Awards, and he is like, no limit, like he is out of breath. So you know he giving that real. So props to him. But most people lip sync, that's fine. But you don't just stop and wander around and have the audience sing because you don't know the words to whatever. What was she singing? Emotions? Whatever. It was ridiculous. Yep. I was heated.
You know what, guys? Like, the optimistic side of me always believes that Mariah is just one hit away from, getting back to that superstar status. But, as the time keeps ticking and the years keep passing, I'm just like, you know what, maybe it's not in the cards anymore, which is why I was actually okay when she decided to do a co-tour with Lionel Richie. I mean, the timeline is a little weird because they're from two different eras, but I like that move. Like, it seemed to make sense for her. It was her transition into being a legacy artist, and to go through all of what she just went through in the last 2 weeks, it's like, I don't know what her objective is. And of course, it's not her fault per se for the technical difficulties, but, I know all press is good press at this point, but I don't know how this sets her up to be the legacy artist, because let's face it, she's a legend. She has more number one hits than anybody, but I don't know what the next step is from here.
And obviously she doesn't either, and that's why we get Twitter fiascos and stuff for BuzzFeed and stupid little headlines that put her back in the top of back in the top of our Twitter mentions. Because if it wasn't for that, if Mariah came out there and just blew away with a blowaway performance, people would have been like, oh, Mariah can still sing, that's great. The end. But because she showed her behind out there, we're still talking about it a week later. This stuff is preordained. She knew good and as well what she was doing. And it's just sad that a legacy artist, a person who is legitimately one of the greatest voices of all time, that's not your Twitter mess where your album drops in 2 weeks, y'all calling it classic. This woman has legit classics behind her name. And she's like shucking and jiving for attention. It's embarrassing. Grow up.
Whoa. Damn. Gotta take a breather after that one.
Y'all got me hot. And we're 10 minutes into it.
Jeez.
Yep.
All right.
And now on to...
Where are we going next, Kyle?
Oh, man. We gotta give... Ed, you're from VA, aren't you?
Of course.
Virginia born and raised.
Yes, sir.
So, two of your boys... Let's go with Trey Songz first. The braids are back, ladies and gentlemen. Trey Songz is back with the braids. Tom,
the braids are back and the fool is back.
Tom,
y'all thought that the braids were going to resurrect R&B.
Am I excited?
You are excited. You've been talking about the return of the braids for a while.
I guess. I mean, I still got to hear the music. I mean, I know how much music revolves around image these days, but come on, let's at least hear a song first.
Well, I saw a couple of funny memes recently. One actually regarding Mariah and the other one regarding Trey. But the Mariah one was, Christmas time is over. You can put Mariah away again. That was
oh my god!
And the Trey Songz meme was, Trey is about to bring that heat now that he's grown his braids back.
Well, unfortunately, it looks like he's only going to have more court cases. Now that the braids are back.
What was that? He was like fighting cops at his concert?
Player, yes. Like, this is what we do now.
Is this a VA thing?
I mean, same thing.
Yeah, it's a VA thing. Sorry. I gotta admit it.
It's the same thing. All press is good press. I'm telling you.
Well, again, we make excuses for them because I have criticized artists like I have argued with rappers on Twitter who are defending Trey Songz and Chris Brown when they do their usual. What they do is tear up stuff, and it's like, you don't understand the pressures of the industry. You don't understand because you're not in the industry. Little player, I understand that I'm not in the industry, but I am a grown man, and if someone confronts me and I know that they are intentionally pushing my buttons, I have a place. Like, I am no worldwide celebrity by no means, but in my place, in my job, in my community, I know people are looking at me. I can't wild out like I want to. If I could, I'd punch everybody down the street. People annoy me.
Jeez.
But I don't, because I have...
angry.
Y'all got me on one today. So the point is, like, you have to know how to be an adult and to pull back and to be a role model. Remember when Solange and Jay-Z were fighting in the elevator and Beyonce was chilling in the corner? Because she knew that all eyes were on her, and she was like, I ain't in it. Why aren't these other artists smart enough to realize this?
Well,
great press for Solange, by the way.
Yep. Hey, you know what though, guys? We got to give... Trey is not all the way wrong in this. So what actually happened was, at his concert, I guess he went overtime on his set, and they had to cut it short because there were other performances to go. I'm gonna tell you guys right now, Trey has classics. You gotta let him perform them all before you kick him off the stage. Come on.
Oh, come on. Come on.
Look, player, like, if those people pay hard money to hear LOL smiley face. So if they couldn't hear that track, I guess that bows were gonna get thrown.
Neighbors Know My Name is a top 10 R&B song in the last decade.
Man,
I'm gonna let that silence, I'm gonna let it pierce into your heart for saying something so ridiculous.
We've reached the end of the road. Truly.
But a last note about Trey Songz onto some musical thing. He's actually going to be coming back with a new album next year. The album title is Tremaine, in which he states he is going back to where he started, which I guess was with the braids, and telling us that he was just going to make it. It was so I'm personally looking forward to this, because we've heard too much of the yups and the I invented sex. His first album was a lot different than the Trey songs we know today, so maybe that's the lane he's going into. I doubt it, but hey, I can be excited.
Hold on, guys. I have a random pop quiz.
Yep.
Okay.
Guess which rappers you think will appear on this album?
Oh, I don't have to guess. It's gonna be Fabulous. They just did a mixtape together, by the way. Which
Fabulous is okay. Fabulous is cool.
That's acceptable.
I love Fab, but I didn't love that mixtape. So we'll see Fab. We might see a good Jeezy or so. It's 2017, so we got to hear 21 Savage or some mumbling weirdo.
I feel like we're going to see like Chance the Rapper or someone like that, or Childish Gambino or someone that I don't even know their music.
I doubt. Definitely not Gambino. I doubt Chance. Those two. I think he's got to slum it a little bit more with the Uzi Verts and the Kodak Blacks of the world.
No, I know who's going to be on this album.
Okay.
Gucci Mane. That guy is literally on
every song. Yes. Gucci will be there, I guarantee you.
Before we move on from this, can someone tell me what the appeal with Gucci Mane is? Like, I don't get it.
You aren't wrong. I will say, though, Gucci is one of those artists, just like this new crop of artists, that are just all swag, no substance. And that's why people like 21 Savage, because he says 21 all the time. Like, that's it. That's why they like him. They like Gucci because he says weird stuff.
This goes back to my ongoing argument against the South and what you guys have contributed to music. I'm sorry.
Oh, here we go with this.
Keep it.
Now, like, we haven't seen 20 Northern artists cape off of the horrible Southern artists.
Northern?
Yes.
Oh my goodness.
And not have, if you're going to steal, at least steal from the hot Southern artists and not the losers. I don't need 21 Savage clones.
Listen, give us Magoo back and keep all the rest.
I'm all for getting Magoo back. Magoo is Big Daddy Kane compared to these dudes now. He could kill 21 Savage in a freestyle.
I'm just going to sit here and act like I know who 21 Savage is.
Excellent.
Oh, you don't want to. Do not Google.
And guys, the worst of the worst rappers, when we talk about 21 Savage, when we talk about Future, Gucci, the worst of the worst is Soulja Boy. And he is going toe to toe, head to head, mano y mano with your cousin C Breezy in a boxing match.
Do y'all really want me to have the floor on this one?
It's all yours.
It's all yours.
Okay, and let me hurt some feelings. I am sick of what these two dudes are not only doing to hip hop, or what they are doing to R&B, but I am also sick of people who are fanning the flames and making this stuff worse. Because let me run down what actually happened in this quote-unquote beef. I can't remember who did it first, but somebody said something on Instagram. And this started on Instagram. This is how this started. I think Soulja just randomly liked what's the child name? Karuchi?
Yep.
I think he randomly liked her pic, and then this turned into some war. And the reason this turned into a war is because there were some outlets out there that decided, let's run with this story. So what became a just Twitter argument or Instagram argument became a Floyd Mayweather sponsored boxing match. Y'all are gonna pay money to see this. I would rather go on World Star and watch the children fight in the school lockers than see this mess. But you know why it gets this bad? Because outlets like to fan the flames. Soul and Stereo is a little bit different than You Know I Got Soul. Because Soul and Stereo talks about topical stuff and then I, opine on them, give a little bit of editorial. That's kind of what I do. I intentionally did not talk about this topic. Why? Because I saw where it was going. I saw that Soulja just wanted some pub. I know my cousin Chris never seen a fight that he didn't want to stir up. And I was like, this is not a time to talk about. If we shut up, this will go away. But then I see quote unquote reputable R&B sites running with the story, tweeting it all over the place, and it becomes a thing. Y'all let me go, so I'm going to blame it on you. So, what I need everybody to do is to pull back and to stop fanning these flames. Because, first of all, back in my day, old man Ed, when it came to beef, there were codes, and one of the codes was you keep it on wax, and you keep people's kids out of it. What's the first thing Soulja does is talks about Chris Breeze's child. Now, if you remember the Jay-Z Nas beef from back in the day, when Nas came out with Ether and Jay-Z came out with Super Ugly, and he mentioned the little line about Nas's baby in the baby seat, Jay-Z's mama made him go on the radio and apologize. His mama. Because she knew that he broke the code and it was about to be war for real. And we didn't want another Biggie and Tupac situation. The reason it got this bad with these two weirdos is because people kept egging them on. So I am telling anybody that has some sense out there to shut up. Stop egging on the weirdos. It's like little kids in the back, the weird kids in class that like to pick their nose and then eat it, and everybody's like, oh, and they keep doing it. That's what these dudes are doing. You are contributing to when we complain about the downfall of R&B and the downfall of rap, and we blame it on the media and this and that. No, player, we blame it on you because y'all keep sharing it, y'all keep tweeting, and y'all keep talking about it. And now you're going to pay for this boxing match that's going to be another farce. So, don't complain about R&B being dead when you're tweeting and laughing about these two weirdos, laughing at each other, talking about people's kids. Stay away from it. If you want this genre to survive, keep it about the music and not the beef. I'm done with y'all.
Tom, I'm gonna let you...
My question is, hold on, can I have the mic now? Jeez.
Yes.
All right.
I just have a question, and you can answer this for me, Kyle, but how did it come to this in our society that where our top artists are now having these fake boxing matches and beefing online? Imagine if Stevie Wonder got into a street fight with Slick Rick or something back in the day. That would never happen.
And that's exactly what I'm saying. I grew up when, I come from the era of Chris Brown. I was following him since the beginning of his career. You guys might be a little older, so you guys didn't pay a lot of attention to him. You know, obviously, eventually, you guys had to listen because he became that big. But I followed him from the start, and you guys, if you guys don't remember, this guy was being compared to Michael Jackson. And whether it was true or not that he had the caliber of a Michael Jackson, he made you believe it because he had hits, he could dance, he could sing, he could perform. And to see him go through all that he's gone through, from the Rihanna situation to throwing a chair out the window, like I've always rooted, for the guy because I was like, you know what, the guy is still talented. Give him his props. He's gonna turn it around. And I think as the years have gone by, you've seen glimpses and flashes and of it and promise of it, but it doesn't look like he's gonna get back to what I thought he would become. Like, his spot's been taken by people like Bruno Mars, by The Weeknd, and Justin Bieber. Think about it. They've taken his lane. All three of them, they've taken Chris Brown's lane. So, you're asking how did it get to this point? You know, Chris Brown did it to himself, unfortunately. He keeps taking the bait, and it's hurting his career. You know, I see him post all these things about how he feels underappreciated, or he feels like he's the most underrated because no one acknowledges that he can direct, dance, sing, perform, dance, or whatever. And you know what? You're right. He can do all of that stuff. But it's always going to get overshadowed by his dumb antics, and it's just a shame. But what I will say is this, though. If it is actually a boxing match between Chris Brown and Soulja Boy, we got to cheer for Chris Brown because it's sort of a victory for R&B if he wins. And I'm done.
Wow. Look, player, look, if it's a boxing match, I hope they just both pass out in the ring, like in the Transformers movie when, like, Megatron and Optimus Prime end up, like, turning gray and crumbling to dust. Like, both of y'all just happen. But, what Kyle is saying is very true, but it also goes back to what I was saying earlier about Mariah. If you want this to, like, don't whine and complain about how nobody takes you seriously when then all you do is run around on Twitter starting fights. If you want to be about the music, be about the music. And don't be about the drama. And then fans, again, I appreciate a fan like Kyle that's like, I've been with him since day one. I kept giving him chances. That's cool. But then it gets to a point where you're enabling. And it's like, somebody has to be like, shut up. When you remember that instance that you mentioned about throwing the chair out the window, that's exactly what I was talking about. I was talking to the rapper Skills when this happened back in, I think it was like 2012 or 2011, whenever he did that. And he was the one saying, because I wrote a piece talking about how ridiculous this all was. And Skills hit me back and was like, you don't understand the pressures he's going through. I don't have to understand the pressures that he's going through as an artist to know that as a human being, if you're being interviewed by somebody, you don't get pissed and throw a chair out of like a 20-story window. That has nothing to do with, that has to do with you being a psychopath. That's what that is. And it's time that people stop enabling these artists and stop falling for the tricks. If you want some good music from Mariah and from Trey Songz and from Chris Brown, tune out when they start doing their weird stuff for publicity. And when the music drops, go spend your coins on the music. That's how you bring R&B back. Not by retweeting somebody fighting with some rapper that can never put 3 syllables together in the first place.
Wow.
And there you have it.
Now, Tom, I'm going to get... First of all, since when were you talking to Skills? Didn't that guy work on some Timbaland songs?
Yeah, Skills is actually... He puts out his yearly wrap-up. He actually put out one for 2016... I guess a couple days ago, and he does a lot of ghostwriting. He's still around. I don't remember how he randomly ended up in my mentions, but it happened.
Now, Tom, Ed's talking about all these R&B blogs that are covering all this garbage, and you've been hitting up my BlackBerry messages with all this.
Oh, man.
And I've seen you tweet about...
Don't get me started.
We want to hear...
Don't get me started.
We want to hear the real... Are you disappointed in these other R&B blogs right now?
Well, I'm going to be a grown man for a second. I was disappointed that R&B blogs are talking about Nicki Minaj and Meek Mill breaking up. How is that even R&B related? But in other news, we have surpassed every other R&B blog except for one, so there's no reason to look back. End of story.
There you go.
Very mature of you, Tom. Very mature of you.
Check the stats. It's true. We're number 2 right now.
And we taking over, one city at a time.
Now let's rant about Jhené Aiko.
Oh boy.
Who did she fight?
What did she do?
What do you mean?
Tell her what she
Let's
did.
keep it real.
Oh, we talking about that.
This new song.
Maniac?
Yes.
Ed, have you heard this Maniac song?
I've heard the Maniac song. A lot of people were surprised by that song, and I'm not sure why they're surprised. This lady was talking about having her booty eating like groceries, like on her last song. Like, this is just what she does now. Like, we aren't going to get the soul from this back. This is what we got.
Well, it's just disappointing and a little shocking that she did so well, making strides with that sold out EP or whatever it was called. And then all of a sudden it's just like a screw went loose or something, and this is what we've got. It's like fall in line. Start copying what's on the radio.
Well, you're right.
That's exactly what we've seen it 1,000 times. You make your name by putting out this like adventurous piece of work. So now it's like, okay, sound like everybody else and make us money.
But the thing that bothered me the most was when she came out, it was like so different at the time, and it not that it was so different, but she had success with something that didn't sound like what was trendy. So it was almost like she was almost able to carve out a lane for herself. I was hoping that would open the door for more and others to follow. But it's almost like the door shut, and here we are.
Unfortunately, and like we've discussed before on the podcast, like unfortunately that's kind of out of their hands sometimes. It may be a case where she wants to do another EP like that, but the label is like, nope, you're doing the ratchet, you're doing the turn up, you're doing the whatever you call the 21 Savage music, the garbage. So it may be out of her hands, but either way it's disappointing because this was an artist who was giving us a legit chance to branch the genre out and kind of take it in a new direction. But nope. That's saturated with lazy R&B. Lazy rap.
What is it? Great job on that soulful first album. Now go do an album with Big Sean. Like, what the hell is that?
That's what it is. Because that soulful album put her name in the streets. It got her buzz. Artist labels now just want buzz. Same thing happened with Tinashe. She got an EP, got a lot of buzz. She can sing. So, okay, let's mold her into something different that can make us quick hits.
Yep.
Kyle, what do you think about all this?
You know, for me, I get why they did it, but I don't really get why they did it. Name how many R&B artists can you think of right now? You know, I can only think of a handful that have come into the scene, carved up their own lane, you know, had a distinctive sound, and was successful with it. You see a lot of R&B artists who try to do that, and it just doesn't work. But Jhené was one of them that did. You know, she was being booked for festivals. She had her own tour. Like, why stray away from that? Why not evolve and, you know, continue to work with what you have? Like, I saw Miguel do it, and, you know, I hope Miguel doesn't come up with some turn up on his next album, but it worked for Miguel.
Oh, man.
I mean, I don't know. Like,
in Miguel's defense, though, this is a little bit because he was kind of like on the fringe on this ridiculous era that we're in now, where it's like now almost everybody is forced into this mold. Yep. And again, I'm not going to put the blame on her because I don't really know her situation because we know what she's capable of. And for her to take this huge 180, it makes me think that other forces are at play. But I think it's just laziness on the part of labels. This is an artist that you can mold and create a new sound, or we can just sound like everything on the radio and hurry up and get these like really quick singles because we know this works. We don't know if your sound works, but we know for sure that Future sound works. So be Future, be Designer, and that's what we're getting from labels. It's like, what's hot? Sound like it right now, right now. Don't try to do anything different. Right now, we just want money right now.
Do you think there were people like...
I feel like...
Go ahead, Tom.
Go ahead.
Oh, I was going to say, do you think there were people from 15 years ago who are making these exact statements as all three of us were listening to the Neptunes and Timbaland, where they're saying this is hot garbage?
Oh, definitely. Definitely.
That's crazy.
We talked about that. We talked about that before with how Timbaland. I think it was the podcast we had with Digital Black on there about how Timbaland it was like a gift and a curse.
Yep.
He advanced the sound, but he took away live instrumentation at the same time.
Yep.
Right.
But I was going to say, do you feel like Yuna, who I know is a favorite of yours, Kyle, kind of snatched that lane away from Jhené Aiko?
I think yes, to a degree. I think she did. I think it's a two-part thing. I think Yuna came in, with the song with Usher, which is on I think it was in our top 5, I think, maybe top 10.
Yeah, it got pretty high.
Yep, you guys should definitely check out the list if you haven't already, of our top 100 songs of 2016. But I think you're right. I think Crush was one that got people's attention, and she has another song out right now, Best Love, which kind of fits that Jhené lane. It's very smooth, very laid back. She has soft vocals. I think that was part of it, and I think the other thing, and I read this on Twitter, I gotta still think about it a little more, but I think Kalani coming in and, her carving up her own sound has made people pay attention to her, and maybe, I don't know, the label's just trying to push Jhené into that lane. I don't know.
Well, it's weird, because she's turning 30, she's 29, I think, turning 29.
Yep.
I guess they're thinking her young years are limited. I don't know. Who knows?
Yeah.
But ironically, Jhené Aiko is featured on a song on Yuna's album. So, moving in different directions, I guess.
They're at a crossroads.
So, can I get into my rant, which I had prepared for this podcast?
Yes, but
Look, player, just join the rant circle.
Before we get into this rant, hold on. Before we get into this rant, have you realized this entire conversation we've had on this podcast, we've just been talking about new artists or newer artists? That's crazy.
We talked about Mariah and Trey Songz.
Oh yeah, right. Trey Songz is from 10 years ago. There haven't been it. Yeah, okay, you're right. Okay, Tom, it's all you.
Well, tentatively, this podcast is titled R&B has some big problems in 2017. So I was think about, Fetty Wap. Wait, hold on a second.
Why are we thinking about Fetty Wap?
Please explain.
Hold on. So I heard a Fetty Wap song today, and it had me thinking how many events I've been at where they put a Fetty Wap song on, and you have people of all ages in the room, and no matter what age people you have in the room, they just go nuts to the song and start moving and shaking. So, it had me thinking that's a huge problem for R&B, because people of all ages listen to that quote-unquote music and don't pay attention to the stuff from their generation which they used to support. And people are so self-absorbed now with themselves due to social media that they want to look cool, so they take pictures of themselves dancing and videos to that music to gain attention of their friends. They don't want to put themselves out there listening to something new that no one ever heard of because it wouldn't look cool. And because people have no attention spans anymore, they won't listen to R&B. It takes too long to grow on them. And that, to summarize, is the problem with R&B and why it will never be big again. It's all due to Fetty Wap.
Your last point is actually pretty excellent, and I don't think I've heard that from anyone. The reason why the R&B that we've known, and I'm kind of working on, and we'll talk about this later for a post that I'm working on for next week, on some like really soulful stuff from like 70s era R&B. That stuff, like, you have to listen to it intently, and people don't have the patience to listen to music like that anymore. Like, they don't have time for a song to grow on you. It has to be some very digestible, catchy beat that you can ignore the words to, or just know like 2 or 3 words, like Raindrop, Drop Top, that Migos mess that everybody likes, and just you be straight. Like, you just, like, no one knows that song. They call the song Raindrop, Drop Top. Nobody knows the name of the song. Because everything is so disposable.
That is. You know whose fault that is. That's iTunes' fault for posting 30-second snippets. Man, Kyle used to kill me by only previewing songs for 30 seconds and then tell me he listened to a whole album. We've been having these arguments we've been arguing about this for years.
Yep.
What?
Yep.
Okay, yeah, go in on them, Tom. Go in on them. Because they're thing what drives me nuts as a reviewer is when an album drops, especially like an album from a big artist. Like I can't think of the most recent really big. It was the Tribe Called Quest album. When that dropped, like an hour later, I saw a review up, and it was called like the first listen review. And this person just like listened to like the snippets and wrote this long review of the album. I was like, how do you write a review of an album and you listen to probably 20 minutes total of the album? That's ridiculous. You can't absorb the content. You can't distinguish the songs. You can't determine the themes from like 20 seconds. That is insane to me. But it's a good point.
Well, my first point too, I think still stands that, like, I just see people of all ages getting into this younger music, and it's really pushing the artists we've grown to love from generations past out the door, and they're not getting the support. And I really think that's a problem, and I don't know if there's a way to fix it, but I think it'll just keep continuing.
Well, let me ask you guys this. Because, when I listened to Beyonce's last album, Lemonade or whatever it's called, it wasn't it wasn't catchy. But people still listen to that. So I do agree. People have a lack of patience for new music, especially R&B. But what I also believe is you gotta put the face to the music nowadays, and because there's no way people are telling me this Beyonce album is catchy. I could barely listen to it, and not because it wasn't good, but it just had no structure to it. So I don't know if it's...
Yeah, but the thing about that is, if you weren't listening to Beyonce, you weren't cool. So you had no choice.
Yeah.
Well, that goes back to Tom's point. Like, the only reason people gave it a chance was because it was Beyonce. I love Solange. I've kind of featured her on the site today. Her older album, Soul Angel. I love that album. But the reason why people gave A Seat at the Table a chance was because it was Solange. And because the Beehive pushed it out there and was like, everybody needs to listen to this right now, blah, 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 blah. If not, it would have been like, oh, she released an album. Oh, okay. SWV dropped an album last year. And they were just on Unsung. And, everybody was tweeting about that. And then, when was the last time SWV released an album? And I'm like, last year, I reviewed it. Oh, okay, I'll listen to that at some point. See, it's not urgent.
Yeah. Yep.
But when you got Solange and Beyonce and everybody saying the cool thing is to listen to this album, they're going to listen to it. Why do you think people keep listening to those garbage Kanye albums? Because it becomes a social media event, no matter how terrible it is. And then the stands are constantly beating in your ear that it's good when it's not. So it's like, I guess it's okay. No, it's not okay. Listen to your heart.
Guys, can I do a quick survey? Or I want to ask you guys a question. If I go on Twitter right now and I search up John B., how many results do you think it would take until I saw a tweet that said, when's John B. going to put out a new album? I'm still listening to Cool Relax.
2.
It happens all day.
Every single day. You know how many requests I get for whatever happened to column on John B? Like he disappeared in 1997. I'm like, player. He's had plenty of albums.
The sad part is they don't even take the time to find his official Twitter account and even look up what he's doing. They just...
Player, we're in the internet age. All you have to do is put in John B. discography in Google, and it'll come up and 0.2 seconds. You don't have to ask me and wait for me to reply. I mean, I don't want. Yes, y'all, please do that because yes, you're keeping Soul and Stereo alive when you do that. So please email me and tweet me. But honestly, you could look yourself.
Yeah, but Ed, in a nutshell, that's why R&B is in bad shape because it's not in the mainstream, it's not on the radio or TV. And people are just too lazy to search for that good music that they want to hear. So
it's
that's
to your original rant. It's people don't want to take time to listen to music that will take time to grow on you. Like R&B back in the day had to grow on you. Yep. Now if it's not a hey and a muzzle on the beat or Mike Will made it
wait, Ed, you gotta
there's not anything to grab you.
You gotta give him that car sound. Skirt.
Oh, the skirt. Skirt. Oh my god. 2017. It's like we're 6 days in and I'm annoyed.
But no, you guys are right. I remember when our good friend Gaetano sent us, I guess it was a chart from 2004 up until now of the term R&B and of the term trap. And as you could see R&B declining in searches, you could see trap rapidly increasing. I did another search just because I was bored. I searched up Usher from 2004 and Usher in 2016. Ladies and gentlemen, it is not looking pretty. It's on the biggest decline I've ever seen.
Oh my God. Wow.
Yep.
That's some fun research there.
That is absolutely some fun. Now, I want to quickly talk to you guys if we still have time. And this was just funny because it came through on my timeline, and I was talking to my friend DJ Camper about it. But we were talking about her, and then him appeared, and now they've gone into a whole Twitter beef thing. I thought that was the funniest thing.
Oh my God.
It got to the point where the label RCA took down him's music because it was copyright infringement of hers.
And again, it keeps going, and I apologize for folks who like to hear us be funny and like do the witty banter and blah, because we're just three old men today. But it needs to be said, because 2017 going to start on the right note, so we're going to give you these facts. And it goes back to what we've been saying forever. Instead of people trying to do something new, you see someone like her trying to take a different approach to this. So what are you going to do? I'm going to do exactly what she did. Bite her style. Send everybody the same links that were promoting her. I'll send him to them. And then gets weird and wonders why everybody's mad. Claire, you showed no originality. You did exactly what she did. And at a lesser quality. Of course she's mad and upset and offended.
And then
I'm just mad we're still calling her and not Gabby Wilson.
Well, that's another issue. But
that is another issue.
My point is, if you're going to, don't steal somebody else's shine and then try to hijack it for yourself and then get mad when people call you out on it. Because that's what this is.
Yeah. That's funny. And then on a last...
Cloud, hold on, I have one minor rant I just have to get in.
All right.
I'll make it quick.
All right.
30 seconds or less.
Okay, go.
So I got into a Twitter argument about that Broccoli song with one of our followers who actually was defending it.
Oh boy.
And long story short, they ended up dissing us as journalists and dissing white journalists, and it just got pretty ugly.
Damn. When was
Hold up.
What?
Yeah. So
Why didn't you
know.
see? These are the times where you at me, so I can go in there and give them that reel. Because no, I'm not letting that stand. How are they defending? And first of all, for those who don't know Drum, unfortunately, this is another Virginia artist. So
Wow.
I'm kind of like 3
He's
for
from
3
VA?
for Virginia artists. Yes, VA artists are not doing well today. Straight up from Hampton, VA. So what was this person trying to say? What was his or her point?
Their argument was that one song does not represent that Dram's artistry, and that they're actually a very talented soul singer.
I have heard the album.
Which may or may
That
not
is
be
a lie.
true.
It may or
is
may
not
not be
true.
true, in fact.
As I
However-
told y'all last year, when I put out my 30 top albums of the year, I listened to every major release, including that one. His album it was like him holding his puppy on the front of the album cover. It looked very strange. But I listened to the album. There was a song with Badu called Wi-Fi that was weirdly entertaining. But other than that, the album was disposable. There was no magical, magnificent soul stuff that I heard. It was just like this half soul, half new wave R&B that we've been hearing from everybody. That's just lazy. I heard no masterful R&B. I don't know what project they would listen to.
You know what? I didn't even diss the artist. All I said was, it's sad that in the future of R&B, the best type of singing we're going to get is what you hear from that Broccoli guy. And they got really upset. I think it was Broccoli guy's sister or something. I don't know.
It must have been. You must have heard. I'll say this about us in VA. We ride hard for our own. Except for me. I don't ride hard for anybody. Except Keith.
Oh, man. Now,
All right, take us home, Kyle.
well, on a last note about him and her, I jokingly was asking if there was a they, and our good friend Zeppelin linked us or tweeted us with the handles of a group named They. Now, I don't think they have any relationship to him or her, but man, what's next?
Is they a band? Like, that sounds vaguely familiar. I think I know who
Actually
they
does.
No, yeah, it does. I actually think you're right. I think it was like a Hispanic group from like the mid 2000s. I think you're right on that.
It's getting too confusing now.
Yeah. Well, guys, let's move on from that to talk about some of the new releases in 2017 that we can be looking forward to. Tom's prediction is that there will be no releases in 2017 because R&B is dying, but I would disagree with that. Well, I think the first project that's coming out is 7th Streeter, right? Her long-awaited album.
Is it actually come? I think it is. It going to come out?
I thought it was January.
I'll double check. All I know is Belle Biv DeVoe's coming out in about 3 weeks.
Yeah, that's going to coincide with the BET New Edition miniseries thing. But that's the only album that I knew of that was on my radar. Mary J. I'm not sure when she's coming out.
That got pushed back. The 7th Streeter, I can't find a date on. I thought it was January.
I thought it was too.
Is it
because she's going
is
on
it
tour. So
is it up there for pre-order?
I think so. Yeah.
Okay. All right. So we'll take your word for it.
I could be wrong.
Well, no, it was supposed to come in January. I hadn't heard anything.
Yeah.
So, other than that, I mean, who are we even expecting this year to come out? Ed, I said it was gonna be a slow year. You think?
Hold on.
Might be wrong,
hold on.
But
let me interrupt. So 7th Streeter comes out January 27th.
Okay.
Okay.
So that's in what, like 4 weeks? 3 weeks?
3 weeks from today.
Yeah, 3 weeks. Yeah, we'll be
And then-
checking that out. I'm probably review that one. That's very long awaited.
But I just don't know, like, who we can expect this year in terms of names. Like I was saying, I think in the past 2 years we've had pretty much all of our big names come out.
Yep.
Yeah,
And the way
really
R&B has gone, I just don't think we're going to see like rapid releases anymore with these type of artists. So
No, you're right. You're right. Like Donnell Jones put out a single last year with David Banner. That song was terrible, but like he hasn't put out an album.
Oh my goodness,
we forgot about that.
Come on, man. Any Donnell Jones song is a treat. I'll say that much.
Ed, please give him.
You can say it doesn't make it. Play it just because you say it. Don't mean it's true. So
cut my mic off. What?
I'm actually looking at just some of the key artists that haven't put out an album in a while, and you're right. Like a lot of them have put out. Like Brandy is the one that comes to mind, but I think she's in the middle of a lawsuit right now.
Yeah, other than Brandy, who I was expecting last year, to be honest, I can't really think of anybody. We got Mary J coming out. It's weird that she's being slow with the success of her single, but
we think it's the divorce thing that's pushing that back.
Oh, you're probably right.
Yep.
Unfortunately, because she had the momentum going with the single.
Right.
Other than that, who knows?
I can't really. I mean, I guess Mariah's gonna eventually put out an album this year. Yeah. Aside from that, I can't really think of anybody. Like, because you're right. Not everyone. People don't even really bother putting out albums. Like, think about someone like Ashanti. I don't think she even cares about new music anymore.
No, as long as you can stunt on Instagram, who cares about music?
Yep. I think
so. It's sad times this year, guys.
You know what? I think the key to this all is to just quietly put out music, and eventually you're gonna get nominated by the Grammys like Maya did.
Wow.
That's the key.
Unbelievable.
Yep. On a last note, guys, before we get into our food discussion, Ed, we got to call out Pharrell. Have you seen a recent Pharrell interview recently?
I don't think so. What's up with Pharrell?
VA again. Uh-oh.
Well,
Oh, 4 for 4?
well, you know what? Maybe not recently, but just in the past couple of years, why is Pharrell nowadays so much different from NERD Pharrell? It's like he's almost pretending to be Mr. Nice Guy.
Yeah.
Well,
I have to agree on
with
that one.
that, but I mean, also the man is like getting up there in age. He's trying to change his, he's growing up. So I give him a little bit of that, but I do think that he's a little bit too apologetic on some stuff, and that annoys me greatly. Because he's been
Come on,
really
man.
like, no, I'm not defending him.
If R. Kelly's still out there thugging, Pharrell could be too.
This is not a good thing. R. Kelly's 50.
Okay, fine.
Wow.
Continue, Ed.
Oh, good Lord. But like I was saying, a lot of our artists are growing up. I don't mind him maturing a little bit. I was a little irritated with his little backhanded comments toward Black Lives Matter last year, but other than kind of his apologetic stance on everything, the man's growing up, so it's okay. He doesn't get a total L from me like the other three did.
It's weird, though. It's like, if you listen to his raps from back in the day, it's almost like it was a different person who made those.
He sounds like a different person. Like, vocally, he sounds completely different.
Let me just say, you guys remember the NERD song Bobby James?
Yep.
That was me. But moving on to the food discussion.
What?
Come on.
Can we please move on?
I'm going to go on the record and say Pharrell sold his soul, and he ended up with Happy, and now he's this Mr. Nice Guy. The Pharrell of the Neptunes is gone forever.
He has his moments. He had a what was the song with Pusha T he had where he was rapping like NERD Pharrell? Oh, that was actually a Future song.
Yep.
Ugh.
Yep.
But the song was good though.
Oh.
I'm gonna take it home, guys. I just heard about the most ridiculous food item of all time. It's called a toast sandwich. Have you guys heard of this before?
You mean a toasted sandwich or a toast sandwich?
No, it's called a toast sandwich.
So it's 2 pieces of bread with toast in between it?
No, it's 2 pieces of toast with bread inside. It's the other way around.
That's so sad.
Who eats this?
It's like, it's what people eat apparently.
Hey, times
It's
are
basically times are. That does sound like a struggle meal right there. At least put like some like ketchup on it or something. Ugh. You're just eating burnt bread.
Yeah. So that.
Well, I've actually been in a store and I've seen someone order a roll with butter, like as a meal. Is that a meal?
A roll of butter?
Yeah.
Somebody
like
just
he ordered
ate
a roll.
butter for dinner?
He ordered a roll and was like, "Yeah, just put some butter on that for me," and that was it. He wrapped it up. They wrapped it up and gave it to him. It was like $1.25.
Listen, the economy
Please
is
tell
hard.
me he was taking it home to do something.
Times is hard, I guess.
Yeah.
Times is hard, but I have to help a brother out if they that hard.
So that got me thinking, guys. You know, we all love food, and is there anything weird that you do with food that you know, maybe a secret recipe, or maybe you put a sauce on a food item that doesn't require that sauce? Like, do you guys do any of that weird stuff with your food?
I'm not really big on sauces. I don't really do that. The only weird quirk I have with eating is that if I'm eating like candies, like Skittles, they have to be the same flavor. Like, I have to put like 3 orange ones in my mouth. Like, I can't mix the colors because that's nasty. But that's my only weird thing.
You know how plain I am. You think I do anything weird with food?
You probably
He's the
don't.
one that probably invented the toast sandwich.
Jeez. Well, I'm trying to think. I think I may have eaten ramen noodles raw once.
What?
Oh, that's normal. That's fine.
That's normal?
That is not. What? That's normal?
It's like eating chips.
Oh.
This is a
wasn't
little
yummy,
different
I
than
mean.
eating chips.
It's like huge.
How did you chew them? How did you swallow them? Like, what?
It's just a little crunchy, Ed. Come on.
Have you? Well, obviously you have because you ate them. But, like, those things are, like, hard as bricks when you take them out of the package. Why did you not have a pot and water to put them in?
Listen, man, like college days, you just had to do what you had to do.
Yep.
College days were so hard, y'all didn't have pots? Man, no pot to piss in or a window to throw it out of. Times was hard.
What about you, Kyle?
Now, you know what? At one point in my life, I thought ranch dressing with pizza was cool. I've strayed away from that now. I don't do that anymore. But I had a friend in college, and let me tell you, she drowned her pizza in ranch dressing and hot sauce. It was the most bizarre thing I've ever seen.
I've seen that a few times. I mean, dipping it in ranch is not preferable, but it's okay.
I get it.
I wouldn't drown my pizza.
Ranch is cool. I get it, but to be drowning it in that, I don't know about that.
Yeah, no, I'm with you. That's a bit much for you.
Yep. Now, on a last note before we get out of here, so I was in Portland last week. I made the road trip down to Portland, and I decided to live American style. Tom, this is going to disappoint you to no end. Ed, you might be a little more appreciative. So I had I had 2 meals in America, or actually 3, but 2 in one day. For lunch, I went to Carl's Jr., and I had 2 double cheeseburgers, French fries, and a strawberry shake. That was like 2,000 calories. And then for dinner, because
Tom just fainted.
And for some reason, you guys have really cheap nuggets at McDonald's. It's like 20 nuggets for $5.
Basically.
So I had that.
Good.
I don't know why. I don't know what your chicken is, but I had that as well. So I started calculating how many calories I had that day. I think I hit about 4,000.
My God.
That's not
I mean, you just ate like 50 nuggets for $3. What'd you expect?
And then the day after that, I went to the Cheesecake Factory, which was alright. Like, that was pretty good. I'll give them that.
Man, it's amazing.
I like it,
Even
but they
I like
got
that.
rid of my favorite cheesecake, so I'm kind of salty about that.
Food's alright, though. But, yeah, that seems to be all we have for this extended podcast. It's been long overdue. We're looking for actually a great 2017 when it comes to podcasts. But, yeah, Ed, tell us what's going on soulandstereo.com.
Man, there's a lot going on because we've had a few weeks off. If you haven't been by the site lately, first of all, shame on you, get your life right. But secondly, stop by. I had the annual Player Please Awards, the 6th annual, where I go in on the worst celebrity news of 2016. So check that out. SWV's Unsung was on pretty recently. We talked about that a little bit earlier. So I kind of ran down their discography, ranked them from top to bottom. Kind of good trip down memory lane. And coming up very soon, a project I've been working on for a couple weeks, I am going to have a list of the 20 best songs from blaxploitation films. Now, most people will be like, what? I'm not going to know any of these songs. All these songs have been sampled by everybody from Ro James to, I mean, every rapper you can think of. All these songs, you might not know the names, but they are very, very, very familiar to fans of R&B and hip-hop. So look for that in the next couple of days, because that should be pretty cool.
Wait, hold on. The person that you mentioned as an example for sampling all these songs is Ro James?
Yep. Permission samples Willie Hutch's song. See?
Okay.
You gonna learn something today, player.
Who?
Oh my gosh. Willie Hutch, player.
Booker T? Willie Nelson?
Chucky Booker?
Not Booker T, sucker. Willie Hutch.
Wow.
Alright, well...
We just found out Chucky Booker was a real person. Isn't that exciting?
I am glad that you finally listened to me. And yes, Chucky Booker is quite the... Shout out to Chucky Booker and Change is one of the best songs of the 90s.
Oh, 90s. I thought this was like 70s music or something.
Oh, man.
70s.
Alright. So, for us in
Dude was out in 1991. My God.
Yeah. For us in 2017, Tom, I got so we're gonna continue to build on what we already have, but this is a really funny note. So on New Year's Eve, Tom was doing his countdown thing, and at about 12:01, he hit me a message and said, "Good news, I'm in 2017, and R&B sounds really great." So maybe.
Well, remind the listeners that I'm 3 hours ahead of you.
Yeah, right. So he was like, I'm in the future already, and R&B sounds great in 2017. So I'm hoping...
Boy, you were disappointed.
I came in 2017, and I still heard the same old garbage that I heard in 2016.
Oh my goodness!
I'm just kidding. But before we get in any more trouble, we're gonna get out of here. This is Kyle. I've got Tom and Ed with me, and we are out.
This is the white publicist, the white R&B journalist signing out.
Oh my God! What have we become?
Peace.